Yo, today we have How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And this is one of the better books in understanding human psychology and how to win people over and build genuine connections with people. Now, he has 6 chapters in this book, but I decided to focus on the chapter that I personally prefer over the others, which is techniques in handling people. And he goes over 3 different aspects of techniques in regards to how to build connections with people and what sort of techniques you should use that would be better for you to build friendships with people. So the first one he mentions is to not criticize, condemn, or complain. He brings a study by B.F. Skinner that showed that an animal being rewarded for good behavior will learn much faster and retain more effectively than an animal being punished for bad behavior. And the essence, the core of this is that when you focus on the positives and what can be done better, it will be a lot better than focusing on the negatives, because we don't want to get showered at, and we will challenge that. Once we are faced with people condemning us, criticizing us, picking on us, we will challenge that. So it is better to be someone who focuses on the positives and tries to build someone up. Since then, further studies have shown that this principle applies to humans as well. Criticizing others doesn't yield anything positive. It causes more conflict than not. So if you can, focus on positives and you should find that you have better results. We aren't able to make real changes by criticizing people, and we're often instead met with resentment. Now, this isn't 100% of the time. I'm not 100% agreeing with Dale Carnegie here. I think sometimes criticizing someone can yield a little bit of benefit, but I think it is better to not have criticizing as your main go-to method, because it does build resentment in people. It builds animosity, hatred, jealousy, envy, all of those negative things. Unfortunately, it will get under their skin and they will start to project that towards you. So try not to be the one who criticizes, condemns, complains first thing. Try have that as your backup plan. Lead with positivity. And when you think about complaining and what that brings, it brings negativity with it. So when you want to be someone positive, you need to think about from that lens and why you should abandon complaining, because even when you look at it from your own perspective, you don't really like people that complain all of the time because they are very negative, very pessimistic. So you need to think about from the side of, okay, I want to be a positive person, so let me lead with positivity, as opposed to being someone who complains all the time and is negative all the time. This point here is very essential, and he says that it's important to remember that when dealing with people, we're not dealing with creatures of logic, but with creatures of emotion who are motivated by pride and ego. So the second point that Dale Carnegie brings up is to give honest and sincere appreciation. The desire to be important is a desire that humans long for. And I myself personally want that, and I'm sure you want that too. Deep down, you really do. The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. W. James. Flattery comes from the tongue. Appreciation comes from the heart. Now, there are a few things there to break down, but the first thing I would like to say is to put yourself in the other person's shoes and realize that if you was on the receiving end of compliments and appreciation that is sincere, how would you feel? I can answer that for myself. I'll feel very good. I'll feel very happy. Dang, I might crack a smile. I might start laughing. But if you look at it from that perspective, you will start to understand that that feeling, that way that you feel, can be projected onto them, and you can start to make other people feel that way, which is something very noble of you, respectable, and very kind of you. So something to be proud of, not something to shy away from or think that is cowardly. I think it's something quite noble. With words of true appreciation, we have the power to completely change another person's perception of themselves, improve their motivation, and be a driving force behind their success. When you think about it like that, we have nothing to lose and only positive to gain. Why wouldn't we offer genuine appreciation more often? So when you think about it as a thing that yields positive results and no negative results when done correctly, why wouldn't you do it? It's literally 100% win and 0% lose. So be genuine and care for others. The third point that Dale Carnegie brings up in his techniques is to arouse in the other person an eager want. In other words, give people what they want, not what you want. Now, it can be difficult to draw that line between what it is that you want versus what it is that they want. But again, if you use the principle of putting yourself in their shoes, it kind of helps you see that perspective of, okay, I know what I want, but if I'm being honest with myself, what would they want if I was them? And with practice, you can make progress with this mind shift, because it is a mind shift, and it's difficult if you never really put yourself in other people's shoes. But you just keep going at it, you'll get better with it. And Dale Carnegie here mentions that, of course, you are interested in what you want, but no one else is. The rest of us are just like you. We are interested in what we want. The principle is absolutely key in influencing others. So you have to think about the recipient of your words and what you're communicating. You have to think about, okay, so I want A, B, and C. What does this person want? Does he want A, B, and C, or does he want D, E, and F? You need to figure that out, and it comes with practice and awareness. To convince someone to do something, you have to frame it in terms of what motivates them. And in order to do that, you have to be able to see, and in order to do that, you have to be able to see things from their perspective / point of view as well as your own. The world is full of people who are grabbing and self-seeking. So the rare individual who unselfishly tries to serve others has an enormous advantage. He has little competition. So there's a book that I'm going to be doing an insight on in the near future. But this concept of being a giver versus a taker really plays a major role in this concept. So try to put yourself in a position of a giver. Try to give instead of take. Try to give as well. And that requires you to think about it from their shoes, put yourself in their perspective, be more self-aware. It can be challenging because you're being more selfless instead of selfish, but it comes with many things, many rewards, many things that can come back to you good in the form of gifts, compliments, real bonds and friendships, because you're actually looking to help people, and you're looking for the best in people and the best for people. To conclude this third technique, Dale Carnegie mentions what the key to influencing others is. He says the only way on earth to influence other people is to talk about what they want and show them how to get it. Since I've already talked quite a lot on this topic, let me know what you guys think in the comments on this. Now, I've gone over the 3 techniques in handling people that Dale Carnegie mentions. I'm just going to go over a few topics I liked and a few concepts I really did find valuable. Now, the first one is to give suggestions and not orders, and to help people feel like they're in control. And when I apply this to my own life, when I've worked a job and I've had a manager A and manager B, for example. Manager A, he gives me instructions and he gives me suggestions and helps me feel like I'm more in control in what I'm doing. Manager B gives me orders, tells me to do things, doesn't really help me feel like I'm in control of anything. Now, I'm more inclined to work for manager A and listen to manager A because he's more considerate about how I feel and how he words things, as opposed to manager B, who is just giving instructions and not caring about the person that he's talking to. This next concept is one that I really do understand highly, and is to let others do a great deal of the talking. This one is a concept I'm not sure if I've gone over on this channel, but it's one that I understand fully, and it's where I draw the line between people liking you and people knowing you. How to get people to like you is to let them do all of the talking and to listen to them. And what happens in this sense, and what happens here, is that people get stuff off of their chest, and people love to talk about themselves. So as they expressing their emotions and they're talking to you, they start to like you more because you give them a chance to express themselves. Now, getting people to know you is a lot different because you do a lot of the talking and you express your emotions and you express your opinions. So they start to understand your point of view. But there's that line in people liking you versus people knowing you. And let others do a great deal of the talking is what gets people to like you. So that is a great concept to have in this book. I think Dale Carnegie, he nailed it. I think he got it right with this one. The next one is to be a good listener, and this is an essential one. Be a person who listens to what others have to say, and that shows to others that you're sincere and that you're willing to listen to what they have to say. Next one is to make the other person feel important. So be considerate and think about how the other person is going to feel. And you see how a lot of this revolves around being considerate and thinking about others. That is how to win friends and influence people. You need to consider others. You need to think about others. So the next one is to try honestly seeing things from the other point of view, and try seeing things from their perspective, and be honest with yourself when you're doing it, because you can try do it insincerely, but that won't get you anywhere. Next one is to let them have input / credit. So think about when you're working towards a solution and you figure out the solution yourself. You could take credit for the whole thing, But if you want to win friends and influence people and add some positivity to that environment, you can share that credit with them and allow them to believe that they had a lot of input, because that makes people feel better regardless of what the truth was. And in this regard, if you're trying to make people feel better, that should be your priority. Of course, if that's what you're trying to aim for. So the last thing I think I'm going to address is probably the question as to, okay, I know all of these things now. How do I take actionable steps and apply these lessons into my life? I think I'll call it P&P here, where you need to ponder and practice. So pondering here is when you read the work that Dale Carnegie has and to kind of think about what he's trying to get across and how it can apply to your life. Secondly is to practice. Bit by bit, practice a few of the teachings. Turn it into your own thing so you can have it something that's long lasting and that will stay with you until 50 years from now. And that is the best way to approach this, to ponder and practice these teachings that Dale Carnegie has, and you will figure out in your own way what works best, and you can teach other people moving forward. So that is all I have. Thank you very much for watching.